Maybe.
You never
All
know
right.
with these things.
You don't. Now it's official. We're live, right? So I love it. You got to take a little time. Fellas, super fired up to be here on another live stream with the Dippidi Deep Dive Podcast. I'm honored to be here with Brian Hamaoui, who has been co-hosting with me, but now Tim Harvey, the CEO of Fly Dragon. Very honored to have you on, brother. How are you?
I'm great. Great to be here. I wish I was in Florida. I'm up here in Boston. Weather's pretty good, so I can't complain too much, but nonetheless would rather be down there in the the Sunshine State?
Yes,
Sunshine
the
State.
Sunshine
It
State.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
the Florida man. It's the Florida man state. It's the Florida man.
Yeah, I'd rather be there. I'm there in the winter, but in the summertime I'm back here. So good to see you guys.
Yes, excited to have you on, man. So pumped up. I mean, this is going to be a great session for anybody watching. Tim, you're going to be talking through some AI AEO today and how real estate agents are getting found, getting recommended on AI. I'd love for you to give a little background on Fly Dragon itself, you, how we know each other, the whole story will unfold here, and then dive deep into this session here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up your slide deck in a moment.
Please. Yeah. So we've been doing real estate marketing now for 10 years, you know, each co-founder at Fly Dragon. There's too many of us, but all of us have been doing it for roughly 10 years. I would say the impetus for this venture, Fly Dragon, was about a year and a half ago, actually a little bit more at this point. I started to recognize this opportunity where agent names were being recommended by ChatGPT. Prior to, I don't know what it was, GPT-3, prior to that, it would, if you asked who's the best agent in Upton, Massachusetts, where I live, it would just like toe the party line and say, you know, go Google this or go to Zillow. And then I started seeing names and I thought, wow, there is an opportunity here to help influence AI in a very similar way to, say, search engine optimization. And so that was the origin story of Fly Dragon. We created it at the tail end, maybe early 2025. So now here we are 16 months later, working with 130 plus agents to do just that, helping them, the agent or the team, be recommended by AI. And it's been I'll say it's been a very exciting 16 months. It's ever evolving. You know, it's the Wild West right now, but their phone is ringing. That's the most important thing. So it's only ringing from AI recommendations because of the work we're doing to get them into the answers. So my whole goal here today is to kind of give away the playbook to help real estate agents and teams understand the things that they should be doing or avoiding. I'll get into that as well to help them be recommended by ChatGPT, Google's AI. You know, there's AI mode, there's Google AI Overview, there's Gemini, of course, there's Grok, Claude. There's so many at this point, but the whole point of this is to help them get recommended by AI.
You know, one of the things, and I think you just brought it up, is there are so many platforms that emerged. Yeah. And so it's becoming very noisy, just like I would say social media started to become a few years back. When real estate agents are starting to think through, you know, AI and becoming public figures on these systems, is there a way to focus on one system, or is it that the work that you guys do gets published across all of the platforms?
Great question, Brian. I'm going to get into that. The work you do, it's one of the myths I'll dispel, doesn't necessarily translate to all the models. And me personally, and then internally with the team, we're using different models for different use cases. I might use one for research. I might use one just simple chat, AI chat. I might use one for, I don't know, content. So it really depends on the use case. But for the agent wanting to be in the answers, you can't just do one thing and it's going to work, broadly across the spectrum of language models. The models differ, and you kind of gave me a great opportunity to say, like, you can't just do one thing to get into the answers across the board.
I love it. All right. Well, hey, let's dive into this.
To get into this. Let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
And the whole reason for this deck here, for those who are watching now or in the future, and by the way, I should say, this is ever evolving. We are in the wild, wild west of AI. This likely will not be relevant in 3 months, or things will change. So I'm going to have to continuously update this deck. So if you're watching this in 2027 and saying none of this makes sense, it's all wrong, it probably is largely wrong. So I'm going to give you the top 9 reasons. There's so much out there. So many marketers, so many influencers are saying, hey, this matters, this doesn't matter. Some of it's true. Some of it really doesn't matter. Some of it can actually hurt you. And I'm coming with data, right? Not to pat ourselves here at Fly Dragon on the back, but we've been doing this for a year and a half for 130 plus agents and teams across the US and Canada. We have enough data to say, well, actually, that's not true. Or, hey, this will be damaging if you do this. The whole point here is to say there's a lot of noise today, and there will be for a while. I'm going to give you just the top 9 reasons that AI will recommend you or not. And the hope is that the agents watching this will take this, run with it, and execute in just these 9 things. If you only do these 9 things, you have a better chance of being recommended by AI than if you were to try to do, say, a couple hundred different things, which there are more than 200 AI visibility ranking factors. So I want to make mention of that.
Love it.
And so where I want to start is, don't take my word for it. 1,000 watt, we all know, we love and respect, put out a ton of great data. And this is something that they, some original research from them, I want to say it was December or January, where they had surveyed 1,500 buyers and sellers. And they asked them, you can Google this, you can find it. There's several pages, but there's 3 data points I pulled out that I cared mostly about. And the first is not anything new. I think Realtor.com back in October put up around the same ballpark, but it said that in terms of the 1,000 watt survey, 50% of these 1,500 buyers and sellers were using AI somewhere in the process, somewhere in the buying process. It doesn't mean that they were using it to find their agent, but they were using AI in some regard. 65% of those used it specifically to find and evaluate their agent. That to me was like, wow.
Insane.
And this is January. Here we are now moving into June. So is that number
probably higher?
Exactly. It's not going backwards. The numbers, it's got to be 70 plus at this point, and will continue to grow over the quarters, over the months even. So that I pulled it out. I'm like, wow, that is crazy. That is much bigger than I would have anticipated. And then the last number, only 22% of those 1,500 said that AI had no impact on who they chose to represent them on the buy side or sell side, which means that almost 80% of them used AI to find or at least evaluate their agent. This number is going to keep growing, guys. It's staggering. So if there's an agent tuning into this, watching this, if you're sleeping on AI visibility, you are going to be left in the dust.
Quickly.
Big time.
The adoption rate is incredible. How fast it's growing.
Yeah. It's not even like a hockey stick, Brian. It's like a brick wall.
Yeah.
You need like grappling gear to get up this thing. It is growing at a staggering rate. Again, we've been doing this for 16 months, so basically a year and a half. It just continues to exponentially grow. How many people are picking up the phone to call an agent saying, "Hey, I want you to list my house." Okay, how'd you find me? I used Grok, I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini. So it's not going away. And so what I want to do here today is just give you everything I've learned. I'm going to hit everybody with a fire hose. We got about, 45 minutes or so to take thousands of hours and just distill it down into the things that actually matter today here in late May 2026. So let me start by saying what really doesn't matter. Because again, there are a lot of people talking about what matters. And some of it, I should say this, it all comes from a good place. These are influencers and marketers trying to be helpful. But we have so much data, having done this for 130 plus agents and teams. We know what matters, what doesn't matter, what could actually hurt you. So the first thing I want to sort of dispel would be, producing and publishing thousands of articles with AI. The bar is so low in terms of how easy it is to create content for your website. I get the attraction of okay, I could just prompt AI. It's going to, back in the day, Austin, you and I used to work together at Curator.
Yes.
We would do this manually, right? We would write.
Oh my gosh, we would spend remember we'd do like a quarterly brainstorm where we all meet up and we would type blogs. Yes.
It's like the dial-up phone, right? The rotary phone, I should say. Like the rotary. It's hard for people to understand, or at least 5 years from now, they won't get people actually sat there and had to script out what to write and go through rounds of edits. I remember writing a blog for Curator back in the day about Instagram, and it took me 2 weeks, and it was a great article. People loved it. It ranked well. It took me 2 weeks to write this thing.
It'd take you 2 minutes now. Not even.
Not even 2 minutes. And so the point I'm making here is, yes, it is incredibly easy to use Claude to write content. And what I'm saying is, don't be so hell bent on okay, I'm overzealous. I want let's just post this to the website, no human edits. That is a recipe for nuking your domain.
Okay.
And I've seen the data that supports this. You'll probably see a bit of lift in traffic, organic traffic. We'll talk more about Google's organic traffic and where I see the world going. You'll see your traffic increase, and you'll think, okay, great, but by day 90, you're likely falling off a cliff. The traffic will plummet. Google picks up on this. It is a recipe to damage your domain. And once your domain has, I don't know, terminal cancel, we'll call it, like, good luck. Like, you don't do that. Is the whole point of number one. Just because it's easy doesn't mean you should do it. It's not like, what's the downside? The downside is legitimate. You will nuke your domain, or likely nuke your domain, if you were just pumping out hundreds, if not thousands, of articles to publish that. I've seen people talk about it. Please don't do that.
So is there, and I'm going to interrupt you, is there a cadence where maybe people should ramp up? If they haven't been doing it, they ramp up, and then basically once you've got a certain amount of content, you can start to scale back and make more relevant, better content?
Brian, there's not really a cadence to how much, stop at 20 per month, as an example. It's more about taking the output and just blindly publishing that to the website, even for what we do. And we just did like 1,200 or 1,400 articles in the past month for clients, which is no small sum. Not one client, but hundreds of clients. I think it was like 1,400 in the month of May that we're going to publish. Every single piece of content has human in the loop, which means that a human, at least one human, if not multiple, they're reading the output, they're editing the content, they're looking for hallucinations before they publish that to a website. So it's less about the quantity, more about, hey, don't just take what Gemini or Grok or Perplexity is saying at face value to publish that, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, schema markup. So schema is a ranking factor. It's not the end all be all. I hear so many people talking about schema. It has been around for 2 decades. It's nothing new. And I think White Spark puts out, they put out a ranking, we'll call it an SEO document. And there's 200, at least for today, again, where we're at today, roughly 200 AI visibility ranking factors. Schema is around number 50. So I'm not saying don't do schema. It's not going to hurt you. It is not going to be the reason why you're in the answers. None of our data supports that. Like, no market improvement on our clients. And even Ahrefs has put this out as well. There's no market improvement about adding schema. The pages that have schema versus the sites that don't have schema, are they in the answers more? The answer is no. So I'm not saying don't add it. It won't hurt you. I'm saying that this won't be the cheat code, right? It won't be the shortcut to why you're now in the answers you weren't yesterday.
And I love it because you just hear so many mixed things on this. So what you guys have found is it doesn't matter a big impact.
Yeah. Subject to change. I keep throwing the disclaimer out there, but today it does not matter as much as the 9 that I'll get into after this slide. So the third one's a fun one. And I added this because I've had multiple agents interested in a Fly Dragon partnership tell me, literally I had an agent say, I pay a guy $5. This guy on Fiverr buys me a bunch of backlinks. They're inexpensive, which is another way to say they're just low quality backlinks. This is more like number 1. It can nuke your domain. This is a 20-year-old strategy. If we were sitting like 2006 and you're buying cheap backlinks that had, high domain rating, but no or, near zero traffic, that could help you organically rank in Google. Not today. That in fact will hurt your domain. So we're going to talk more about backlinks and quality backlinks and why it matters and how it can help you. But please don't be that agent that goes to Fiverr in 2026 to buy backlinks for $7 a pop to point your website. It's not going to help you. In fact, it's likely going to hurt your domain.
Okay.
Number 4, and Brian, you were kind of talking about this. Can I just do one thing that will help me across the board? The answer is no. We'll unpack this more. There are different tactics for different large language models. I've said. So LLMs.txt is another one I hear quite a bit about of late. This works similar to robots.txt, which is how Google will find your website, which does work well, and you should have robots.txt set up. LLMs.txt, none of the major AI models use it. Google has stated numerous times it doesn't use LLMs.txt. So adding it, does it hurt? No. Does it help? No. It doesn't, at least for today. We'll see what happens in the future, but it means nothing. So if you're, okay, I need to add LLMs.txt. Sure, add it. It's not going to help you. No data supports that.
Yeah, because you'll get videos, man, on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Everybody's like, here's all you have to do to get found. It's like add this LLM TXT.
Yeah,
and I love it because you're saying that's not true.
No, and all it does is summarize what you would say is the most important content on your website. The difference between robots and LLMs is that robots, I think, was it Google? I think Google put it out. Like they're saying like, hey, this matters. Add this to your website. Make it easy for us to understand what's on your website. This was a private venture who, somebody with good intention said, hey, this matters. But all of the large language models, the major ones, Google, they're saying like, we're not using it today. We'll see what happens in the future. But for today, no impact, no idea.
Interesting.
No. And the last one, only doing part of the full campaign, which is the 9 I'm going to give you. You can't cherry pick. You can't just do, the website content. I'm going to focus on dialing in the website, or I'm going to focus just on the off-page authority building, or just the directories and reviews. You cannot just simply cherry pick. Maybe there are 1 or 2 fringe examples, but in most cases, you have to do the whole lot. And so that's what I'm going to give you next is the 9 things that really matter. So, and by the way, guys, I have a head cold. That's a thing up here in New England, even though it's May. Like I thought, okay, we're in the clear, no more colds, but no, I've got a head cold going to June here. It's just nuts.
It's all
Austin
right.
gets those from daycare.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. No kidding. Well, hey, Tim can relate. Tim can relate to that.
Well, they're not in daycare. That's the craziest thing.
No, but you can relate to sick kids. Yeah.
Oh man, they're always sick. 4, 2, and 1. I got 3 boys. They're home. We have a nanny most days. And I think she's the one who brings it over because her kids are in school. So you're not safe nonetheless.
Yes.
All right. So number 1, ranking high authority lists. This is, and by the way, 9 here, I'm going to give you these in order of priority. So this is the most important thing. So Zillow, it is not the single source of truth. That's a bit of a myth I want to dispel. Again, I talk to agents every day. Hey, I want to be recommended in, I don't know, this is actually San Diego, but I have to compete with Mark Pattison or the Whistle Beer Group. I'm not going to be able to get into the answers because I don't have 15 or 1,600 transactions or in their case, 1,600 reviews. The answer is, well, actually you can. And here's sort of like what matters. And this is just chat. Again, there's different large language models that matter. I'd say chat and Google's AI ecosystem matters the most because it has the most adoption, which we'll talk about. So what this is showing is, this is Ahrefs, screenshot from Ahrefs, the top domains for ChatGPT in terms of the number of citations. Number 1 is actually realtor.com, followed by Redfin, followed by Zillow, Homes, then Reddit, which we're going to talk about. Reddit's a big one. And so my point here is this to illustrate, just because you don't have the, you can't compete with Mark Pattison as an example, but which, by the way, if you go to ChatGPT and ask who's the best real estate agent in San Diego, I did this before the call because, again, this deck is a couple of weeks old. Things will change in a couple of weeks, and that's a short period of time.
You want to make sure. You're like,
somebody get a fact check me. Like, hey, you're full of shit. But no, Mark is not in the answers. He should be when you look at this one portal, this one directory. He's not. Again, that's what I'm seeing. You might see something different. And I checked with different devices, incognito mode, logged out, just to fact check myself. Zillow is not the end all be all. That's an opportunity. That's a good thing. So what matters is you need to be on multiple. The theme of what I'm going to go through here today is diversification. You can't just focus on Zillow. We'll talk about reviews, but you can't just focus on reviews, say just on Zillow. Your production, your information about you, your website URL, your name, address, phone number, which is called NAP in the the SEO world. All of that matters across all of these different directories. So it's about diversification. You need to, number 1, have these profiles claimed. Number 2, make sure the information is consistent because the model.
Tim, what you're saying is you need to take a nap everywhere you go.
100%. That's sort of the call to action here. Yeah.
I like that.
You got to take a nap. Yeah. So for those who are like, what is NAP? It's an acronym: name, address, phone number. And throw your URL in there as well. Make sure your information is consistent. So if you look at chat, the top sources oftentimes are, you'll see And if you're doing the search, like I'm doing dozens every day, the team's probably doing hundreds every day. We're going to see Zillow, Fast Expert, Real Trends, Homes.com, Home Light. Make sure your information, first of all, make sure you claim these profiles, especially Fast Expert, especially Rate My Agent. And then make sure the information is accurate. Because I can appreciate that the average agent is, when they change an address or phone number, they're going to update Google Business Profile. They're going to update Zillow, their website. Are they remembering to go to Better Business Bureau or Homes.com to update their information? If they don't, you are making it unequivocally harder for AI to verify who you are, what you do, and where you do it. So the models will just skip over you choose an answer or choose an agent, put them in the answers, who is better or easier, I should say, to verify.
Now, Fast Expert is an interesting one because now I feel, because we're in it, Fast Expert is now known. But there's probably agents right now that are like, what is Fast Expert? Because it wasn't even, I feel like, relevant until we started seeing it in the sources of AI. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what Fast Expert even is? Because somebody probably just heard you say that and they're like, what is that? Yeah.
I actually want to pull up my DMs on my phone real quick, because I had an agent this morning DM me. He does a lot of what we do. Oh, I see us live here on LinkedIn. Way to go, Austin.
Hey, there we go.
So Fast Expert 6 months ago was, first mover, whether they intentionally were thinking AI or not. But think of it like this. It's a directory. It's where, here's the call to action. Go claim Fast Expert. Go claim Rate My Agent. RATE, Rate My Agent. And they're free. They have paid models, but they're free to set up the profile, and it will sync with your Zillow profile. So automatically your reviews and your production will pour it over. And every time you get a closing or a review in the future, it will do the same thing.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
Your description, should it be different on each platform so it's not duplicate content? Do you know if that creates an issue, or could you just copy paste on both?
I don't actually DM me on my Fly Dragon account, so I can't. Oh, here it is. The answer is, I don't think you need to deviate. You don't need to change it. What we do at Fly Dragon is we'll author a machine-friendly bio, and we'll update the website. We'll give it to the agent to update Zillow, Fast Expert, Rate My Agent, Realtor.com, whatever directory that they have, that they should have, update that bio. So it's the same bio across the board. I haven't seen any market improvement based on deviating the language of the bio. The most important thing, claim the profile, and then have that bio that talks about your production, awards, accolades, things of that nature. And they're cropping up across the board. So this DM that I was referencing, so this agent here in, I think he's in Arizona, sent me a DM this morning and just said, hey, I'm noticing for the first time this directory called top10lists.us. And it's funny, when I was prepping for this call, I did do a couple searches, again, making sure that what I'm seeing is still relevant. And I did see, wasn't being cited in the answers per se, but if I went to the consideration set, I did see the top10lists.us. Why does that matter? Well, these directories are going to be popping up. And I'm going to actually be talking about a couple that we control here at Fly Dragon. They matter because AI trusts them. AI cites them. Now, what's on them, I don't know enough about the top 10 lists there to say, like, this data is accurate. I assume it is. They're probably just grabbing this data from Zillow or some reputable source. The point that I'm illustrating is this will be ever evolving. There'll be more and more of these directories out here. And them in particular, I did go to their website. It's all about what we're talking about here today, to be in the answers for AI. So I think there is a paid model, but they're being cited as the point. So I guess the point I'm illustrating is, do not sleep on these directories. So if I'm saying right now, Fast Expert, Rate My Agent matter, great, go claim the profile. In a month, 2 weeks, I don't know what it will be, there'll be a new one. And I'll say, make sure you're there. How do you figure out, like, when they come out? Well, if the agent is continuously asking AI who's the best agent in their market, and I would do this from a different machine or maybe incognito, because it's got a memory, right? It's gonna tell you what you want to hear. You don't want that answer. You want the truthful reply to somebody who's asking on their device for the first time, and then look at the citations. How did ChatGPT or Google's AI mode come to this conclusion? Look at the sources. If you see a new one like this top 10 US RE, whatever it was, Well, if you're able to create a free profile, what's the downside? There really is no downside. In fact, there's only an upside. If you don't have that profile, you have no opportunity to be in the answers.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Okay. All right. So these are as of probably, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, these are the most visited, most trusted websites to be featured on. Again, we already just talked through this, but go to homes.com, go to Reddit, or not Reddit, but go to Redfin, realtor.com, Zillow. Make sure your information is accurate, updated. Make sure you have that profile, fast expert, rate by agent, a couple others. But there are 22,000 websites here, I should say pages on these websites that AI is citing today. If you're not on homes.com for whatever reason, or the information's inconsistent and inaccurate, you are hurting yourself and the ability to be recommended by AI. And I could share the deck too. I don't know how you get this out, Austin, but happy to share this deck. There are a couple of slides. There's a lot of information. It's hard to see on a screen.
Yeah. If we got it in a link, I can put it in the description on YouTube.
Yep. I could do that for you. All right. Number 2 of 9, your content gets cited as a trusted source. I wish, we all do, and this does happen, but it is the fringe case. We wish it just worked like this. Somebody's asking Google, AI, like, hey, who's the best realtor in my market to sell my home above the asking price? Who doesn't want that? And then the homeowner sees your name, calls you, and then lists with you. Fringe case. This is what's happening, at least in the world of AI. Like it's long tail, it's conversational. So step number 1, before they even get to the point of thinking about asking who's the best agent, they're asking about, okay, I don't know, make a hypothetical here. I'm moving out of the Boston area for work. I'm moving to Baltimore. What's it like living in Baltimore? I'm thinking about moving over the next few months. You get your answer, right? Synthesized from different sources. Then there's a follow-on question. Okay, well, is it safe? Are there safer neighborhoods than other neighborhoods? Where should I live? And then you get an answer. And then probably another question, something along the lines of, what about the average home prices? Here's my budget. I'm looking for this. So the point is, you need to live, your content on your website needs to be in these answers. It needs to be cited in these answers. And here's kind of the cheat code of sorts. I mentioned it a minute ago. There's a memory. ChatGPT especially, they all have it, but chat is notorious for this, in my opinion. It will tell you what you want to hear. And we oftentimes trust AI blindly to tell us the truth. Not that it's not truthful, but what you might not recognize is there's a level of personalization happening. So the first screenshot is actual results. Best Maryland agents for a budget of $650K. You see Brian here. Well, if I were having conversations in my account, my ChatGPT account, and I was asking those same questions that I just kind of illustrated here, and your content, or in this case, Brian P's content, is being cited, unbeknownst to you, it is personalizing your ChatGPT experience. So slide 2 here, the right side image is just a mock-up of what could happen. And I've seen this firsthand. I ask Chat a question, it tells me what I want to hear. I'm a little suspect. I go to a different device or incognito mode, and I get a different set of answers because there's no history when I'm logged out or in incognito mode. So the point I'm making is, you want your content being cited, because if we get to that bottom of the funnel question, well, okay, thanks for answering all my questions about moving to Baltimore, I narrowed it down to this neighborhood or these, small handful of neighborhoods. Who should I use to represent me? If Brian's content had been being cited, Brian is more likely to be recommended in the answers.
What I think one of the things that comes to mind, and we were talking about building profiles, but does that mean rather than being Central Florida's real estate agent, we should really be Claremont's real estate agent? How narrow do you go to be recognized as that authority figure in your local market?
I 100% recommend narrowing down, niching down. In fact, it's one of the ranking factors of these 9. So if you don't mind, I'll save it, but it's a great plug for a future ranking factor. Don't cast the broad net. It's about higher intent. Give a little bit away before we get to it. If I were to ask who's the best real estate agent in San Diego, okay, not to say that those agents aren't getting phone calls, but if I'm asking who's the best agent in La Jolla, Well, that's a very specific question. Why am I asking this question? So it's about reframing the agent's mind about casting a smaller net. Counterintuitive, perhaps, but if somebody's asking this, higher intent, more likely to get the phone call.
You know, Austin, we talk about this a lot, and it's it just it resonates a lot, right? Because if you've got so many websites that are doing a search on you, and you ask the question, should you be publishing different types of content or a little bit different on each one of the platforms so that you surface? I think consistency about the location that you service, your services, who your avatars are. I think that's the kind of information that they're going to pull. And the more often you appear throughout all of those sites saying exactly the same thing over and over, it'll pull you as that recommended real estate agent purely because it keeps seeing it over and over and over, where most real estate agents just aren't consistent doing it across platforms.
Yeah. And whether that's neighborhood based or I'll say specialty, we have several agents who focus on probate in Reno, probate in Austin. It sounds like, oh man, I'm not casting a wide enough net. Hey, their phone's ringing and they're happy. They see the positive ROI for us doing this on their behalf. So 100% unequivocally, I will say niche down where you can. If you have a specialty, if you have a niche, if you have a neighborhood, focus there because the intent is so much higher. So going back to, this is one of those slides where I got to get the deck out. You probably can't see it as well as I can on my ultra wide screen. So these are the top 20 pages that AI citations based on volume over the last 6 months. These are the topics. These are the 20 to write on to make sure this content, we'll talk about the structure of the content in a few slides, but these are the topics that matter. So
Tim, could you, can you read off like the first five there that are the top ones?
Yeah, totally. So number one, again, this is what we see because we're doing, I don't know, depending on the tier with Fly Dragon, it could be anywhere from 60 to, I don't know, 150 blogs / pages in what we call a semantic content network, just content in your website. Number one that we see cited the most, believe it or not, is what is the average cost of a home in X? Number two is what is the housing market like in X? Followed by what is the best neighborhoods in X, or which are the best? 4 is X safe? Does it have a high crime rate? That's a common question. Number 5, what is it like living in X? So these are the 20 I would write on because this is what is likely going to be cited by the models.
And then Tim, your recommendation would be if you, all right, like you would niche down within the city as one route, but you could write, is X safe? Is Lakeland safe? Is Cleveland Heights safe, which is a neighborhood in Lakeland? Is Christina safe? Like just start narrowing down even further. Like, was that what you would recommend? Obviously that's a lot more work, but would that be the recommendation?
Of course it's more work. But if it is resulting in come and list me phone calls, is it worth the work? I would assume that the agent would say, yes, it's worth my VA or marketing person doing this or Fly Dragon doing this for them. But you're right. And the hierarchy matters. So we have plenty of clients with 5 or 6 different locations. When I say location, I mean town or city. They're kind of landing and expanding. So they're adding a license every time they want to, okay, I had the aha moment. The phone rang. People are calling me here. I now want to corner the market here. Do what you're doing there. So what are we doing? And this is what I'm recommending every agent do. What are we doing for them? Well, on the website in particular, we are building a separate semantic content network. So let's say they were adding, I don't even know how to say this word. Is it Stratham? I'll assume Stratham, New Hampshire. This agent wanted to add it. Well, there's going to be 60 different topics that we're going to add to the website for a couple of different reasons. One would just be to build the topical authority. We want the models to recognize us or this agent or team as the authority in all things real estate related for Stratham. Well, how do we get them to recognize this? These are the topics that AI will cite. At least these are the ones on average are being cited the most by the different models.
Okay.
So yeah, you to address that point blank, you would build out separate content networks for each of these locations.
Wow. Okay.
It can be very robust and a bit repetitive, but the information on the page will be different. All right, number 3 of 9. You're featured in local and national press. Guys, this is my favorite. This is, to me, the fun stuff. This is what I see the models reacting to the most. And it's very common for me to see what you see on the left here. So we got 3 different images. The first would be a first party mention on the agent's website. So who's the best realtor in Gatlinburg, Tennessee? This is Caitlin Warren. She's one of our clients. She's been with us basically 16 months. She was one of the first clients we've been working with. And we built this page for her. Now, we don't embellish anything. Everything we do is anchored in truth. That's an understatement. Like, we pull that out of the agent. Tell us your sales in the last 12 months, across your career, awards, accolades, recognition, all of the proof points that we need to substantiate the claims that we're going to make about you being the best. Because at the end of the day, how do you measure what the best is? Right? It's a very subjective word. AI needs to be as best it can at being objective. And so it's analyzing all this information. And so this is a standard page we create. I've seen agents who we don't work with, we cited it in the answers for a similar page, but it's not usually enough to keep them in the answers. And so I would recommend everybody create a similar page of who's the best realtor or best real estate agent in X. And then again, don't inflate, right? Anchor this in truth and share your proof points in long form, everything about you objectively, why you would be considered to be the best real estate agent in your market. So where it falls short is it all lives in your website. It's a first party mention. The machines understand that we have control of the website. And so what it's looking to do is sort of, corroborate the story off your website. Are there sources off your website, and I should say, that have authority, websites with authority saying the same thing? This is where press releases come in. So for Caitlin, this was September of last year. So a good 6 months ago. And we do this on a recurring basis. Every quarter or so, we'll run another press release, and the information is largely the same, updated, but we're targeting different keywords. The whole point of it is, can we take these proof points that we have on the website that exist? They're out there in the ether. For most agents, they just exist in the ether. They're not even on their website, let alone press releases. So you're doing yourself a disservice if it doesn't exist on your site and it's not on a major, say, network, whether it's Access Newswire, USA Today. I mean, there's a slide coming up that I'll tell you exactly where you should feature this.
All right. Let's pause right there, because I know that there's some real estate agents that are just getting into the business and they just don't have the data to support what you're saying. They don't have the expertise. And so they're like, well, shit, I'm going to fall behind here. There is no way I'm going to compete against some of the people in my local market. What can those people do to get a leg up?
I love this because I hope Tim segues where I think he'll segue here. That's how he got the worst agent of all time to become recommended by ChatGPT.
I get that question all the time, Tim. It's like I'm a real estate agent. I'm about to go into a listing presentation, and the person that I'm up against they've sold 5,000 homes last year, and I can't do it. And I'm like, go in.
So
what's your feedback on that?
It's an awesome question. And so 2 answers for that question. Number 1, go sell more. Right? That's the cop-out answer. The second answer is, as Austin is alluding to, I have a license. I have 3 transactions lifetime. The only reason I have a license is because I've been doing this for 10 years, and I wanted to walk a mile in your shoes, Brian. And I walked about 12 feet, and I'm like, screw this. This is way too hard.
The same thing.
Kidding aside, we use me as a sandbox. We at Fly Dragon, we can't hurt my business. We'll test ideas. Like, again, nobody's calling me, or at least I don't even pick up the phone. I've got it. So if the number's not saved, it's going to voicemail, and I don't even read the voicemails or listen to the voicemails.
Oh my God, what a beautiful business.
It's great. It's unfortunately, clients are like, where you been? I'm like, oh shoot. Like, sorry, I didn't have your number saved. But we're just testing ideas with my real estate business. If it works, great. We roll it out to the client base. If it doesn't, okay, shelf that idea. We'll retest in the future. I say that to say, if you were to ask chat or even Google, I think I'm in the AI overview. I haven't looked in a while, Austin, but if you were to ask who is the best real estate agent in Upton, Mass, it's probably going to say Tim Harvey. The funny thing about that is I have no sales in Upton. I have 3. One's in Hull. I sold a 2-family that I owned. One's my aunt in Milford. One is my buddy in neighboring town next to Upton. That speaks more to, I think, the competition here. I live in a town of 5,000 to 7,000 people, middle of the sticks. That would not work if I lived in San Diego still, or Boston still. Maybe Gatlinburg. It's, as you can see, it's a bit out in East Tennessee, the hills of East Tennessee. So if you don't have if you're more like the Tim Harvey agent than the Brian agent, I would say absolutely. Then you need to niche down, especially if you're in a more populated market than a Upton or a Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But you could still compete. I'm in the answers. If you ask AI, it's me, even though I'm not actively doing anything other than testing ideas. It's coming to the conclusion that even though I have no sales in Upton, I am the best real estate agent.
Very interesting.
Austin, I think it was, I forget, it might have been Copilot for us doing this for the Agent Fire webinar. I'm just making sure I'm in the answers before I went on there and talked about me being in the answers. And one of it said, I think it was wildly reviewed. I have 3 reviews on Zillow. Wildly reviewed. So that's why you cannot take the answer from AI. We all do this. We all take it as gospel. Your buyers and sellers are doing that. That's a good thing. But us internally in the industry, be mindful of what AI is producing in terms of an answer, in terms of the content, or even the reels. I put a reel up this morning. I think I published the reel. I'm supposed to. If I didn't, I will later. But I'm mindful of what it's telling me to say. Like, wait a minute, is this actually accurate? Because it'll be very confident, which will make you very confident. So be careful of that. All right. So yes, it's possible. Don't. And the whole point of that webinar we did with Agent Fire was about, if I can do it with 3 transactions over the last 3 or 4 years, you can do it, assuming you have more than me and you're in a market, or niche down to that. The third one you can't do easily. This is more of a pat myself in the back here, but owned media distribution. So we have, if you go to our website, there's I think it's /markets. We have kind of recreated what you see on Fast Expert. We're pulling data from Zillow, and we're able to publish that on our website. And I've seen it in the answers. I've seen this. We have a couple of these different media distribution networks that we're using, and we will make sure our clients are on that list. Again, it's subjective. It's when we say top real estate agent, what does that mean? I'm not saying who's the real estate agent with the most transactions and then fudging the numbers. I'm using a subjective verb, if I may, whether it's, I guess it's not a verb. What would top or best be? Adjective? Been out of school for 20 years, guys. I don't know. We're using a very subjective word to articulate who should be on that list. But we are, we'll put our agent first, and then put, say, number of reviews, number of transactions. And so, and I've seen this in the answers. So it does work. That's why you're seeing Fast Experts, the Rate My Agents pop up, that new one that the agent DM'd me about today, topusrealestateagents.com or whatever that was. So again, why am I sharing this? Well, one, it is the Wild West. It is simple enough for us to influence the answers. I'll put it lightly. We can influence the answers. I'm not the only one doing this. There are other players in the space. So just be mindful of, what is AI citing today? If it's citing Fly Dragon or something else, and you're not on that list, figure out a way to get on that list.
Yeah. So Tim, I noticed on the site, looking at Florida and Tampa, Lakeland area, you guys don't have anybody. So what's up, dude?
We don't. We're here and ready. We are exclusive by market. So if it's wide open, then
I love it.
You got to get there before somebody else does.
I love it.
All right. So distribution.
I'm going to stick to my 5 transactions.
What Austin's not telling you is 5 transactions in his first month of business.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a Lakeland mayor at times, dude. It was all the hip hop back in the day.
Yeah, I saw that video. Like, damn, that was fun. I never knew that.
I didn't either.
Who did you open for?
All right, I opened for Machine Gun Kelly at one point, and Waka Flocka, man.
Waka Flocka.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. That is awesome. We're gonna have to talk more about that after this.
Yes, for sure.
Who is the best headliner for Waka Flocka Flame? Yeah.
Not me, for sure.
We didn't ask you back. All right. So distribution matters based on the market, kind of articulating the difference between Upton, Mass, or Gatlinburg, Tennessee versus, say, a Reno, an Austin, whatever. So when somebody's asking who's the best real estate agent in X, if you were to categorize yourself, agent watching this, are you more like a Gatlinburg or an Austin? Gatlinburg being low population, out in the sticks, right? Austin being, enough said, more urban area. Well, you don't need, typically, most markets, you won't need as many press releases. As you can see here, 8 to 12 for a Gatlinburg, low competition, versus 35 to 50. So I'm not saying go produce one press release. You might get the early pop, but you're in the answers. I can almost guarantee within a few weeks that will kind of fall out of the index. You've got to do this on a recurring basis. So 35 to 50
for you on this.
Please.
8 to 12 in Gatlinburg quarterly, semi-annually, or like 8 to 12 is what you need on average out there in the ether of the Ethernet or internet?
On average, I'll recommend quarterly. These are advertorials, right? These are advertisements that are editorials. You can submit, I guess it depends on the source. If you go submit this to the EIN Press Wire or Access News Press Wire or Access Newswire, I would do that on a quarterly basis. It is pay to play. You're going to spend anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a press release, but they'll be syndicated across dozens, if not hundreds of different websites. So you're earning.
I've seen where you can get it like at I've seen where you can get for $500, like 30 websites. Now they all have different domain authority and whatnot,
Exactly.
right? But
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could jump ahead here, I'll come back to that slide. I'll just jump here. We're talking about, I'll double back here, but these are the ones that work the best. So Yahoo Finance, we see cited the most. Access Newswire, close second. Is Business Insider. Not on this list. Probably should be, as of the last few weeks, is USA Today. How do you get these press releases picked up? Well, number one, you have to author it. You have to write it yourself. And it goes back to that first page or that first party mentioned on your website. Who's the best real estate agent? So think about your proof points. You should break this up. Let me just go back here. A bit of a screenshot here on the left-hand side, but for Caitlin, why is Caitlin Warren the top choice? What experience does she have, right? Each of these sections is talking about Caitlin and her proof points. So you would write the press release, you would submit it to Yahoo Finance or Access Newswire. They'll pick that up. You will hand over your credit card. You'll pay $400 or $500 for those two in particular, and it will be run probably that same day, but it will be run across 300 different online news outlets. It'll be syndicated across all of them. Same press release across different websites with authority. The only difference in the price point between, I'll use Access Newswire and EIN, is the distribution network. EIN, I think, is like $50 to do it, which means that these websites don't have as much organic traffic or as much authority. So, hey, you might get a little bit of pop. It might work in a smaller market. Probably won't work in a Reno. Access Newswire, they command the premium because their distribution network is solid. They have websites like Yahoo Finance inside of that Access Newswire distribution network. So a lot of organic traffic, super high domain ratings, just means their websites have authority. That's usually like when we see for clients the aha moment. Okay, they're in the answers. Now, again, if you remember that first slide, you can't just do one part of it. You can attempt this. I can almost guarantee you'll see results a day later. The models are reacting. Oh, I see myself in the Google AI overview. It probably won't stick longer than a few days because you have skipped all the other things I'm saying you must do. Again, this is us learning this over the last 16 months. Of course, we're trying to be mindful of our own margins. What is the minimum amount of work we can? I'm just being transparent. What is the minimum amount of work we can do to get our agents to get into the answers and then remain in the answers? This is what I'm sharing today.
I love it.
Love it.
Basically, this is the laziest way.
It's the laziest way. Yeah. It's a lot of work here. I'll say that. It is the laziest way, but it takes a village to get this done, or a really strong, if you have one as a real estate agent, a marketing team, VA. All right, coming back to this screen here. So this is just to show you a side-by-side comparison when I say low competition versus high competition, like local press versus national press. We did this for Zach Seltzer in Panama City Beach, one of our clients. Shout out to PCB. So Zach, so this is Central Florida Lifestyle Magazine. It's a local magazine. So I'd like every agent to think about what are the local magazines, especially the ones that are digital. If you're in print, first of all, way behind the times. But I assume they have a digital version. You want to be featured there. And ideally, Austin, you asked this question earlier about the bios. I would say don't have the same text, carbon copy from a local press or a national press, but you could just, hey, AI, give me another version of this press release.
Yep.
Yeah, give me a variation here. Give me some, so it's not so redundant. So he's been picked up in Central Florida Lifestyle. Access Newswire, we ran this for him as well, which again, that gets picked up by, I think it's 311 different outlets. And I fact checked myself this morning because this slide is probably a month old and it's still popping. But who's the best real estate agent in PCB? There's Zach. It's citing Central Florida, so that local PR. It's also citing Reddit, which we have an upcoming slide. We're going to talk more about that. So this is me kind of rounding the corner here, Austin. Why does this matter? Well, it will straight up, hopefully, right? But I can't guarantee it. But if you do this enough and you do it right, you structure it the correct way, it will be the reason why you're in the answers or not in the answers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Already talked about this slide. Go check it out. Go check out accessnewswire.com, Business Insider, EIN, Presswire. Number 4, man, we got to speed it up.
I know, but I'm excited about this one.
All right.
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up.
Push me along if I'm going too slow because I could geek out all day on this stuff. All right. Number 4 of 9. We're not even halfway through. User-generated content, essentially what I'm saying. Reddit, Facebook, YouTube. If you're in tune to AI visibility, you probably heard a lot about why these channels matter. But, Brian, speaks to your point earlier in this call. Not all platforms are created equal, or better way to would say is that not every large language model is treating these social channels equally. So if you look at YouTube, the top line here, Google AI overviews, Google AI mode, eating up YouTube, citing it a ton. ChatGPT, not so much. Well, how do I infer this? YouTube is owned by Google. So it's all Google's ecosystem, which is why I think it's heavily cited. So if you're like, hey, I want to get in the ChatGPT answers, so I'm going to start creating a bunch of YouTube content. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to help you, but it would help you in Google's AI ecosystem. Inversely, Reddit, ChatGPT is citing that what this is saying is 21% of their citations is Reddit. This is not real estate specific, just across the board, is a Reddit thread or subreddit. Not so much for Google. So this is why different disciplines or different social channels will, react. Exactly. Will influence the different models. So what do I want you to do? What do you do with this information? Well, number 1, every market has subreddits, dozens, if not hundreds, depending on the size of your market. If you're following me logically, it's sequential order here. I told you to go create 20 pages. If you go and search a popular subreddit in your market, there's probably a question there asking, hey, what are the best neighborhoods in X? Well, you're answering that question on your website. So you have the answer. You can give the TLDR version in Reddit. And there are even opportunities when somebody's asking who's the best real estate agent or something to that effect. Hey, I'm looking to move in the market. I'm out of town. I'm looking for a real estate agent that I can trust to help me guide me and figure out where I should buy. I got to buy in the next 3 months, 6 months. You can just jump in yourself and plug yourself. I see it all the time. One idea, this is something that I like, fits me more personally. That's why I'm not killing it in the real estate game. There are, I think, 1 billion a stupid amount of users, whether they're bots or not. There's like 1 billion active users on Reddit. I'm not a Reddit user myself. I am now. What I'm getting at is you can ask just like you would ask a past client for a review, you can ask them to jump into the conversation. So you're not self-promoting if you feel funny about that, which some of you will.
Do LLMs care if you're self-promoting? Do they recognize your self-promoting?
I don't think they do. I will say you got to deal with two layers of security. Number 1 is Reddit itself. If you're posting something that's clearly self-promotional, by the way, we've tested all this. We're trying to do this for clients. Sometimes it gets flagged. Doesn't even see the light of day. Then the next layer of security will be the human moderator. If they don't like what you're saying for whatever reason, that's very subjective. Even if I've seen it again, we've tested this. Who's the best agent in, I don't know, PGA Village down in Florida, Port St. Lucie area, and we comment. It's up to them. The moderator could say, yeah, you know what? I don't like that guy. He's out of here. So bit of a myth to dispel. You hear a lot about, you're getting bombarded right now. Reddit matters. Get into Reddit. Sure. Be mindful that it's not as easy as us marketers make it seem. Just because there's a thread there that you jump into doesn't mean it's going to stick. Because the bots removed it or the moderator removed it, you're being self-promoting. So I personally, if I'm in your shoes and I saw this subreddit, which I would go search for, if you find an opportunity, send it to some friends, family, past clients, and ask them to plug you without you plugging yourself.
Interesting. I'll ask Rebecca to do that for me.
There you go. Have her do it. Yeah. And Facebook, when I say Facebook here, I'm talking about public Facebook groups. Every AI is reading everything publicly accessible, including public, not private, but public Facebook groups. Same principles apply for Reddit. And I see them in my feed all the time here in Little Upton. I've yet to plug myself because I'm too embarrassed with my 3 reviews and 3 transactions to do that. But I've seen Facebook get pulled into the citations, especially with Google. So join community groups. I have a client, actually Port St. Lucie, who owns / manages his own Facebook group and Reddit subreddit. It works really well for him. I see him in the answers, and I take no credit for that, even though I've jumped into the comments here and there to plug him and his wife. I'll take a little bit of credit, but he's doing that already. He built a community on Facebook, and it's public, and it's 90% value, 10% self promotion. It works.
I love it.
That's
awesome.
incredible. It's I keep hearing Facebook groups and communities. It's one of the, I would say it's one of the leading ways to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
And it keeps popping up with some of the AI and the LLMs. So I'm curious to see how that'll evolve over time.
Yeah.
I have to imagine it gets, there'll be, there are, if I could call it a loophole, there are gaps right now. It's the Wild West. It's SEO and circa 1999. You can get away with everything. Google finds it, patches it, and then what do the SEOs do? Circumvent that in some way. So right now it's wide open. Yeah. Will chat continue until Elon buys it, like it did with X, and realize like, wait a minute, these are all bots? I think Reddit. Again, I'm not a user of it per se. It just feels like it is just an SEO launchpad.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, their freaking stock has exploded.
Yeah,
so
I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I'm like, man, this is all a bunch of it's fugazi, right? It's not real. But we'll see.
But it was the same thing with ChatGPT. I mean, they exploded. Then along came Claude, and everybody's like, ChatGPT is dead, and ChatGPT died, I think, for about 2 weeks and resurrected itself. And
it drops image 2.0, and everybody's like, wait a second, what's Nano Banana now? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got bullied into canceling my pro account with Chat. And so this is Ryan Durrani, my co-founder. He didn't bully me, but he made me feel like I needed to cancel it. This was a few months ago. So there is certainly a race, an AI race. And so Chat internally for operations, we're using ChatGPT for probably about a year. And then Gemini was so much better. So we moved operations to Gemini, and then out of nowhere, Claude springs ahead. And so he canceled Chat and got the pro account for Claude, made me feel like I shouldn't do the same thing. So I canceled Chat. And now I'm like, damn, Chat's actually good again. I should just stop being so frugal and just have multiple paid accounts versus just moving my money. So there's a race. It's going to continue for a period of time, but there are different use cases for different models. Internally, we're using Chat, Claude, Gemini, I think 1 or 2 more just to write content, like 4 or 5 different models just to write one page, one blog.
You got to cancel anytime you want to get another AI account. You got to cancel a Netflix, a Hulu, or like an ESPN Plus to replace
Who has
it.
time to watch that stuff?
That's
like a gym membership. Membership that I don't use. Yeah, exactly. Or I just start donating my kidneys. I don't know. All right. So YouTube matters, right? If I go back to this screen here, too far. Hold on. YouTube. Okay. So if you care about being recommended, or at least your content being cited by Google's ecosystem, like AI overviews or AI mode, YouTube matters. I get this question. The reason why this slide's here is because so many agents ask me about video. What do I do? How do I do it? Does it even matter? Will I get views? Will I get business from these reviews? Well, yes is the answer to all the above. And is one fringe example that I'll share, but I think it rings true. Kind of, Brian, what we're talking about niching down. So a buddy of mine, Nate Clark, a skydive friend of mine back in the day, he moves to Texas like 9 years ago. He got his license there. So he's been in real estate for 9 or less years, cut his teeth, door knocking, he's got the Mojo dialer, like a 12-line dialer or whatever it is. And we are basically his only channel for marketing. And I can't take any credit for YouTube. He's doing this himself, but everything we do is, you could ask Chad, who's the best probate real estate agent in Austin. It's probably Nate, even though he has less reviews, less transactions than the top producers in this massive market of Austin, Texas. But notice he has 72 videos total on his YouTube channel, a whopping 600 views, which is nothing. Like we have videos with 10 times that amount, just one video. He has business from these 600 views. He's had multiple closings for probate from YouTube. So it's a call to action to niche down, which I think it's the next one we'll get into. But two, it's a call to action to go out there and get uncomfortable and create video. Now how do you
I'm going to plug us up. I'm going to plug
Please,
us up.
Go ahead. Plug yourself.
Oh, you got to blog into a YouTube script. So we have a newer service where we actually help create SEO focused YouTube content. But we interview you, so you'll become. It'll be similar like this. So we're focused on what people are searching, the description, everything like that. And I love this because you have a YouTube into a video script.
Yes,
that's a value for them to then take that and then make the talking head video. Is that correct?
Exactly. So again, it's a story arc, right? So you created those 20 blogs that I recommend you create. Now you have the asset on your website. Now you take the blog and this prompt. If you scan this QR code, the output of that will be optimized YouTube video descriptions, right? Titles, of course, a script for you to just be a talking head. Just let the talent be the talent on camera. That is not as good as what you just described, Austin. So if you're going to help guide them, the human element of it will always be better than what AI can do, at least for today.
The challenge we found is that people, when you give them this, they can make the script, but they still can't get the courage to get on video by themselves, set up the camera by themselves and hit record. So we made it to where it's like, well, let's do it with you. And we'll interview you and kind of reverse engineer that blog topic into not a YouTube script, but a questionnaire that we help guide you through the conversation, almost like a podcast.
Oh, I like
that. But
it
still focuses on the topic that's gonna be with a ranking keyword to help this whole thing flourish. So
I think the biggest issue you've got, Austin, is hitting publish. Most people will record the whole entire thing, not like the way they sound, and then hit the
that's where we do all that for them.
Exactly.
So I mean, yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I could see that being wildly something that agents would scream to get their hands on, because even if we're giving this is just something to take a little bit of the rocks out of their pack, but they still have to show up on camera. So if it's interview style and they're just reacting to what you're saying, God, it's so much easier for anybody to just do. So
exactly,
it sounds awesome.
Yep. That was the madness behind it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're on 5, dude. We'll be done.
All right, we're over the hump. We'll be over by the fall. All right. I'm gonna step on the gas here. All right. So number 5 of 9, you understand how AI reads reviews. Which agent do you think AI trusts more? I'm just gonna get to the answer. It's agent 2. Okay. And I see this all the time. Agent will come to me and I'm like, damn, they're not being recommended by ChatGPT. And they have one review. This is a true story. This agent had one review on Zillow. I got on the phone with him, and he had $3 billion in sales over his career, like 3 different teams he had owned over the last 20 years. I'm like, man, it doesn't feel like it. And what I'm seeing is what AI is consuming. Like, you're in trouble. And the point of this, again, is diversification. I mentioned that earlier. You have to diversify. You can't just get all your reviews on Zillow. You can't just get all your the reviews on Google Business Profile. You have to diversify. Zillow Matters, Google Business Profile, Fast Expert, Rate My Agent, Yelp. The good news is with Fast Expert and Rate My Agent, again, sync your profiles, those profiles to your Zillow profile, and it will port over all your reviews. So you're not asking your client for multiple reviews. You're actually getting a 3-for-1 bang on your dollar there, which is $0. So yes, diversify your reviews. And here's what's happening behind the scenes, what many might not understand. When somebody's asking who's the best real estate agent in Deerfield Beach, Florida, the first thing chat or AI is doing is scanning the sources. It's looking at reviews for GBP, Zillow, Fast Expert, Rate My Agent, Homes, Realtor. Like, just name the source. It's looking at it. And it looks at the factors on the next level, the subquery. All right, well, how many platforms is this agent on? How consistent are they with their rating? Is it, some 4, some 5, some 3-star reviews? How recent is their last review? What is the review volume, the sheer volume? Also, velocity matters. Did this agent get 20 reviews in 1 week and crickets for the next 26 weeks? Or is there a steady cadence of reviews happening? And the authority of the source matters too. ChatGPT cares more about Zillow than Gemini cares about Google Business Profile. That's part of Google's ecosystem. So the source authority matters as well. Then you get the results. So there are several sub queries happening almost instantaneously, unbeknownst to the buyer or seller. So this is why the different sources matter. And then here's sort of the cheat code that, of where do I get reviews? Another very common question that I get asked. You can get reviews in a lot of places. What matters most? GBP number one, followed by Zillow as a close second. Yelp is a great backdoor, especially if you're Tim Harvey with 3 reviews. Let's say I had an agent here who had, 100 on Zillow. I'm never going to catch Robin Nasuti. She's a great agent. She helped me buy this house 4 years ago. But I can almost guarantee if I go to Yelp, she probably doesn't have that many reviews. And if she does, they're from a long time ago. Well, I get a handful of reviews on Yelp. I'm backdoor right into ChatGPT because Chat is looking at usually looking at, it's going to grab a couple agents from Zillow, grab a couple from Fast Expert, and grab 1 or 2 from Yelp or Realtor.com. So I like to look at Yelp as a backdoor for agents who just cannot compete with the sheer volume of reviews if you have agents in your market with several hundred or thousands of reviews.
I like that.
Me too. All right, number 6. All right, we're in the back third. You've learned to niche down. So we talked about niching a lot, Brian. Yep. Niching down matters. This is one of the examples I even used at the first couple slides of the call. It is counterintuitive. I totally get the point. But agent says, hey, I work all of San Diego. I work every single neighborhood. I want to be the agent that's AI is recommending in San Diego. I would recommend, in fact, you focus on a neighborhood or neighborhoods versus San Diego. Well, why? One reason would be intent. There is a warmer You're
good.
1 second. Smashing my keyboard here. Smashing my keyboard. There is a more intent if I'm searching who's the best real estate agent in Pacific Beach than I am if all of San Diego, and less competition. Because I think most agents, most businesses are just inclined to cast that wider net. I want all the business. So what does that mean? It means that these keywords are wide open in a lot of cases. So if you service all of San Diego, well, I would go back to the content example. Like you were saying, Austin, would I create the same content for these different neighborhoods? Yes, this is what I would do. I'd build those different semantic content networks for, in this example, 5 different markets. I could run different PRs to these different areas as well. And I can have similar, if not better, results in terms of how often the phone is ringing and why it's ringing.
All right. Semantic content networks. Is that like, do I need to make a whole other website with that content? Explain what that is.
It's a very fancy way for me to say, create blogs and pages on your website.
Okay.
Semantic content
blogs
network
and
is how we
pages,
refer
and
to
make
it.
sure you obviously categorize them properly throughout. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a way for me to sound smarter than I am. It's just find the keywords that buyers and sellers are searching for, and then answer those questions on your website, whether it's a page or a blog. And I think a lot of the questions are being answered through blog content. You might have pages for like a neighborhood page for La Jolla, and then that page has a few internal links to different blogs that you've created and vice versa, pointing back. We don't have enough time to get into the internal linking strategy behind it, but yeah, all these pages should be sort of interconnected. It helps the models understand the hierarchy of your website when you don't have orphan links. You're linking from related pages to related other sub pages or blogs.
What do you guys use to find what people are searching for? So are you using tools like Answer the Public, or are you asking ChatGPT, what are the most searched questions for people moving to, Central Florida area?
Yeah, I love the question. We don't like having a single point of failure. So Ahrefs is the go-to SEO tool. Ahrefs is like SEMrush, if you've heard of it. Ahrefs.com. Ahrefs. So we use Ahrefs for keyword research, but we also use AI. Like we'll ask the same question. So we're trying to basically triangulate what keywords should we be targeting for. It's not something we lose a lot of sleep over. Most markets, they're asking the same question. So we've done this enough that we know if this website's semantic content network is going to have 60 pages and blogs, I can almost guarantee that 30 or 40 of them will be the standard pages, just swap out neighborhood. Of course, the body is going to be very different, but the title, the keyword we're targeting will be the same. And there'll be some nuances because one of the topics we like to do is area versus area or town versus town. Yeah. Very common, at least in this market. If I'm narrowing my search down, I'm asking like, what's the pros and cons of living in Upton or Upton versus Hopkinton, Upton versus Mendon. So we want to be in the answers for those questions.
Love it.
All right. High comp versus low competition. Again, get broad on the left, broad keywords, and then you have long tail keywords on the right. I want everybody to find a way, ideally, to sort of live in this, the right side of this graph. If you focus on, I don't know, over 55 or golf communities, luxury, investment, probate, new construction, find your specialty. Ideally, you're not just picking this out of a hat. Hey, I aspire to be, the luxury agent in town. If you already have a theme, you have a history of transacting, and you have reviews that speak to it, then this is sort of the motif, if I may, the recurring theme that will carry throughout your website content, even the off-page content. Again, less competition, higher intent.
Tim, I'm really impressed with your vocabulary, brother.
It's weird.
I gotta read more.
I remember so little from high school. I graduated like a 3.0 GPA in 2004, like over 20 years ago. There's like one thing I remember from high school in English class was motif. The motif is recurring theme. No idea what that's like. I wish there was more that stuck, but that's like the one thing. So I'll sprinkle that in where I can. All right, number 7 of 9. You care about how your content is structured. So here we're going to talk about the structure of the content itself. You can't just tell AI, go write me a blog on the best neighborhoods in Boston, Massachusetts. You didn't give it enough instruction. Why does this matter? So again, just like the reviews, there are sub-queries that are happening behind the scenes that you don't really see. Sometimes you can see it depending on the LLM you're using. But if I ask, in this example, best neighborhoods in Hartford, Connecticut, there are different sub-queries happening almost instantaneously before it gives you the answer. It's asking itself the safest neighborhoods, average home prices, best walkable neighborhoods as examples. Then it's citing the sources, right? It's snippeting content. It's extracting information from different pages. So this is exactly how I would structure your content if your content management system supports it. Some cases they do, some cases they don't. Number 1, fresh pub date. You want that to be fresh. I would recommend every 3 to 6 months refreshing the updated date, not just updating the date, but actually updating something on the page or blog. Some don't have that date. Ideally, it does. And then the next part would be a TLDR. Summarize the blog. You're going to have a limited, what's called a token budget, just like you would with a crawl budget for Google. Google doesn't send its crawlers everywhere all the time. It costs money. It's going to send crawlers to websites that are constantly updating content. If I don't update, which I have not, my real estate website often, I guarantee my crawl budget's a little bit less. Same for AI. You're going to have a limited token budget. It's probably reading about 300 words, give or take, it's not going to read everything. So you don't need 5,000 words. It might read 300 and decide if it will or if it won't snip it, extract some sentences or a paragraph from your blog and throw that into the answers.
Okay.
So have some stats on there, chunk your paragraphs, roughly 200 words per paragraph. It's like what this would be called is an H2, what makes these neighborhoods family friendly. This is an opportunity to answer some sub questions about best neighborhoods. So if you're doing the keyword research, or you just know, what are people asking you? What are buyers asking you before they ultimately decide on a neighborhood? That becomes your, what's called a heading 2, right? H2. And then you answer that in 200 words or so.
I like that structure.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense. And you see so many blogs just being, long, one long answer. Have FAQs. FAQs are important. These are being cited. This is a way for you to be even in Google's answers, even though they've shaken things up a bit with FAQs. Yeah. And then word count, I wouldn't get too hell-bent over this. Between 1,000 and 1,700 words. You don't need, if you're writing a blog about why is the sky blue, you don't need 1,000 words. You really never need 2,000 plus or more, depending on how deep you're going. But that's the sweet spot, between 1,000 and 1,700. All right, 2 to go. Your website has complete AI coverage. I personally love this one. I think there are some great website providers in our industry. Most fall into the right side category, unless you pay somebody to do this for you on your behalf. You do it yourself, or they have an upcharge. Most websites are templatized. Mm-hmm. What you need to have is what's on the left-hand side. So detailed services pages. And I don't mean your run-of-the-mill buyer experience, seller experience pages. I'm talking about your specialty. If you're like Nate Clark and you focus on probate in Austin, do you have a probate page in your header navigation that's explaining the service that you offer?
In Austin.
What's that?
In Austin.
In Austin.
Like,
yes.
make sure those keywords. Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. You can't just talk about probate because now you're going to potentially be showing up in Upton, and you can't help me, Nate Clark, in Upton.
Even though Tim might be the #1 probate real estate agent in
Upton.
Upton.
That's me. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, localized. I think that's actually number 9. Great segue.
Look at that.
So service pages, when I say this, think about your niche, your specialty, detail. And this is the ranking factor number 2, according to Whitespark, which I'll get to that in a minute. Press. You likely have been featured in press. Do you have a /press page? I see there's a huge missed opportunity in a lot of agents that I've seen out there. They've got all this stuff out there, again, in the ether. Pull it together into your website. Link out to those sources. Make it easy for AI to understand. Like, connect the dots. It's all breadcrumbs leading AI back to you.
I'm missing that.
A lot of us are. Even
I immediately just had a moment. I'm like,
yeah, you did. I heard it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say, look, no judgment here. We don't have our own press page unless I'm missing it. We don't have our own. We just were featured in was it Housing Wire this morning? Jimmy Mackin shot me a text like, congrats. We got featured in Housing Wire. That should be on our /press page. Like, we should be able to brag about it. Yes, for the potential partners, like agents who would want to hire us, but really for me, it's for the machines to make it easy for them to realize, oh, this is all, and this is you everywhere, being featured by Housing Wire has a lot stronger domain authority than FlyDragon does.
Yep.
Right.
FAQs, for now, yeah, I'm on a mission here, Austin. So FAQs, if you're following our structure, I'm telling you to have FAQs in all your blogs. That should be enough, but you could have a FAQ page to answer common buyer and seller questions on your website. Agent pages, I'll kind of lump this together with team credentials. Are you promoting, number of sales you've had over your career or last 12 months, or aggregated reviews across the web? Like, I can't believe how many times I don't see that on a website. And that is being read, it's being accessed, unless it's in like JavaScript. If it's in HTML, the machines are seeing that. You're making it harder for them to figure out your credentials if you're not making it easy for them by putting that on your website, weaving it into your bio, referencing it in the best agent page in your website, putting that in the press release. So just put that on your homepage.
Love it.
Oh, all right. So I mentioned Whitespark. And so this is the 2026 AI search visibility factors. There's over 200 of these ranking factors. This is the top 9. Not what I did, but this is their top 9. The 3 that are highlighted are related to the website. So having number 2 out of 200, I should mention this too, Austin. What Whitespark does every year is they send a survey to the top 50 SEO experts across the globe. Right? A lot smarter than I am. And they synthesize all their input, and they put this report together and go, okay, here are the 200 top ranking factors according to these 50 huge brainers, these 40-pound brainers. The number 1 is being featured on best of lists. So, top 10 agents in Boston, Massachusetts. If you're featured on that list, that is a solid. That's the best thing you can do. That is ranking factor number 1.
Wow.
So the 3 highlighter about your website. So number 2 is having a dedicated page for each service. This is not real estate specific, so I'm going to translate that into our speak. This is where I say, focus on your specialty: probate, over 55, golf communities, luxury, lakeside homes, oceanfront homes, whatever your focus is, your niche. If you don't have dedicated pages in your market about this, you're missing the second most important ranking factor for AI search.
Wow.
All right. Number 9. Last but not least, you're focused on the long tail content. This is what's happening today. And I kind of want us to get comfortable. I really do. I want us to get comfortable with a 0-click world. We are heading into it full steam ahead.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people care about SEO, and SEO is evolving. I'm not saying this is a different discipline than SEO. In fact, I believe that what we're talking about here is search engine optimization, just not search engines so much as it is large language models. Now, Ahrefs and SEMrush analyzed, I don't know what it was, a lot of, I don't. It was a lot of different citations. It was like 100,000. 60 to 90% of these AI citations were not found on page 1 of Google. So they're looking at the citations in chat saying, hey, I sourced this information from this website. That link is not on page 1 of Google. Now, why is that the case? search behavior has shifted. Google searches are on average 3 to 4 words. I'm sure everybody paying attention to this would agree with this. When I go to Google, I'm typing in something like best Madison, Connecticut homes. Jump over to ChatGPT, I'm having a long tail, long-winded conversation that's probably several questions over the, once I get a reply. That's why we're living in the world of long tail. Long tail content never lives on page 1 of Google. We're talking page 2 and beyond. So live in the long tail is sort of the takeaway. Go deep, answer these questions. All right, wrapping up here. These are, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is feedback from clients to us. Because I always ask when somebody says, hey, I'm excited, I just had a listing. Somebody called me and they said, Gemini recommended me or ChatGPT. And I ask, what did they ask ChatGPT? In some cases, they give me the paraphrasation. Other cases, I've actually had the prompts, guys, and I'm shocked sometimes. Even Richard, Richard in Reno, it was like a prompt like this from Grok. It was so long tail, like that you're never going to get in the answers on Google. So people are absolutely, this is our behavior. Our search behavior is shifting. We're having conversations versus asking 3 to 4 word questions through a search engine. So this way you can expect to be in the answers, follow these steps, follow these 9 things. These are the top 9 reasons. Everything that I just mentioned is exactly what matters. And Austin, again, I'll share the deck with anybody who wants access to it, because forget everything else. Everything else to me is noise until you do these top 9 reasons.
That's awesome. So good.
This is amazing, Tim. Couldn't we have just done this slide right here in like, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds?
Yeah. Could have just like book a call. Book a demo.
Well, that's a good question. If people need to reach you and they want to learn more about what you guys do and how you can help them in their business, this isn't a plug. This is all natural, guys.
Absolutely.
But
I
honestly,
had a slide.
We've done this with you guys, and it's mind-blowing the amount of stuff that you guys do. But how do people reach you guys? How do they learn more about your services and how you can help them in their business and exposure?
Yeah, again, I'll lead with this. Preface it by saying my goal here is just to educate agents, help them be self-sufficient. If you want to go do this, you can certainly do this. Focus on these top 9. If you're like, hey, Tim, I'm just trying to list houses. I don't have time to learn all these other disciplines. Can you just do this for me? The answer is yes. I would go to goflydragon.com, book a call, 90% chance you're going to talk to me, or if not me, one of the other co-founders. We're exclusive by market, so we only work with 1 agent per town or city. We don't want competing priorities. Our goal is to help our agents put as much distance between them and every other agent in their market, and you can have multiple markets.
Awesome.
I love it. The only thing I ask is that when people go there and they go book a call right now, you got to plug up the podcast. You didn't find Go Fly Dragon from ChatGPT. You found it from this podcast. So that way Tim can get me, maybe a round of golf or something.
That's the first question I always ask. How'd you find us? It's usually one of 3 things: a podcast, a webinar, a live event that I was at. Number 2 would be agent referrals. Our agents referring other agents, which we love. That tells us we're doing well for them. So why else would they recommend us? Number 3 is they're going to ChatGPT or AI and asking, who can help me? I'm a real estate agent. I need to improve my AI visibility. Who can do this for me? And there we are. So we're not the only ones out there. But I would say this: if you're looking at different businesses to interview, if they're not in the answers, they can't do this for themselves. Just be wary of that, whether you hire us or not. I'll just throw that disclaimer out there.
I love it. Yeah. Well, hey,
Tim, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate you jumping on with us, taking the time today. Especially, you got a head cold. So look at this. This shows how hard you work, man.
This is part of my day. I get so excited about this stuff. I feel like where I started to where I am now, I'm so much more energized. I'm sweating. I'm ready to go run a mile. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the opportunity to help agents out there. Just like 9 helps I just said. I'm happy to help agents help themselves be the agent that AI recommends.
I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.